Welcome to Develop Dynamic Reports with Microsoft Power BI. My name is Barbara Andrews and I'm a Microsoft Technical Trainer here at Microsoft. This course is Power BI in one day. Let's get started. I'm so glad that you're here. We have a great lineup of topics today, starting with Prepare Data in Power BI Desktop, where we will focus in on Power BI, what it is, its components, an overview of Power BI, connecting to and using data sources in Power BI, and shaping your data. Next, we will focus in on designing data models in Power BI Desktop. This is a critical task where we design a denormalized star schema and set up relationships to make certain that our reports and dashboards run as fast as possible and give us accurate information. Next, it is all about crunching numbers with Create Measures using DAX in Power BI Desktop. We will make Power BI do some foundational math for us to give us the metrics that we need to see how our business is running under the covers. Next up is the topic most people come to this course for, Create Reports in Power BI Desktop. We will discuss report design, best practices, how to make reports that can tell our story visually, and more, all to help provide our organization with actionable insight. Lastly, we will deploy and maintain assets in Power BI Service, which will focus on the management and admin of the Power BI service. We will talk about creating dashboards, apps, workspaces, along with how to refresh your metrics, create a gateway to on-prem data, sources, and more. Here's the link for your course content, aka.ms/DP-605-course, as shown here on the slide. I'll be referring to it as we go through our topics. Take note of it, bookmark it for your further reference. Please note too that we have 5 labs associated with this course that directly relate to each of our 5 topics. All lab files, as well as lab steps and setup, are available in GitHub, as shown here on the slide. Remember that you will need at least a Power BI Pro subscription to do all the labs. To try Power BI as part of a free Microsoft Fabric account, go to the link on the slide, Getting Started with Power BI for free. In this section, Explore Microsoft Power BI, we will introduce you to Power BI's environment, its components, and the flow of work in Power BI. Lastly, we will also focus in on the building blocks of Power BI. Microsoft Power BI is a collection of software, services, apps, and connectors that work together to turn your unrelated sources of data into a coherent, visually immersive with interactive insights. Whether your data is a simple Microsoft Excel workbook or a collection of cloud-based and on-prem hybrid data warehouses or other available data sources, Power BI lets you easily connect to your data sources, visualizing what's important and able to share that with anyone. Usually you create your report in Power BI Desktop after you have connected to the data source or sources for your report, shaped or transformed or cleaned your data to get ready to be reported on, designed your data model, and added calculations to it for your report and dashboard metrics. After your report is made, you upload it to the Power BI service in Microsoft Fabric and can view it and more by connecting to https://app.fabric.microsoft.com through any device. You can connect through your desktop, laptop, tablet, or phone. Let's talk about some of the components of Power BI. Here are 3 main parts of Power BI. First, the Power BI Desktop. It's a free application that you can download and install on your device that lets you connect to, transform, and visualize your data. This is where we do most of our work today. We use the Power Query editor from the Power BI Desktop to transform your data. Next, we have the Power BI Service. It is a SaaS service or software as a service, which brings together dashboards, workspaces, reports, semantic models, apps, and more for keeping a finger on the pulse of your business. It is now a service in Fabric. Your reports, dashboards, and apps can be accessed from anywhere and on any device. You can create and view reports in Power BI Desktop or in the Power BI service in Microsoft Fabric, or even in the on-prem Power BI report server. You create and view dashboards only in the Power BI service in Microsoft Fabric. Dashboards are a single canvas, while reports can have multiple pages. Dashboards focus on actionable insight, while reports usually offer more detail. Dashboards are similar to the dashboard in your car when you're driving along the road and you don't have time to look down and study what the metric on your dashboard is trying to tell you. Likewise, here in Power BI, dashboards should have metrics and visualizations that are easy to read and understand at a glance. Dashboards can be created from report metrics and visualizations, or you can add tiles in the Power BI service that support images or URLs, or even streaming data and more. We'll talk more about dashboards coming up. The activities and analysis that you'll learn with Power BI generally follow a common flow of activity that can look like this. First, identify and extract your data source. For the source of your report or dashboard, Power BI has hundreds of data sources that it can connect to. More on that later. You'll, of course, need to be authenticated and authorized to the data source to use it in Power BI. You can import or copy the data source data into Power BI, or you can leave it at the data source and do a direct query, or better yet, connect to the data directly with Direct Lake if your data is in Microsoft's Fabric OneLake. More on this later too. Next, clean, transform, or shape your data. Model it as a denormalized star schema. Add calculations to it at the data source or using the M query language or DAX, and then create your report. Next, load your report to a workspace in the Power BI service by publishing it. You can then create dashboards from your reports and apps where you bundle your reports and dashboards together for read-only mass distribution to your selected target audience. You can also assign roles to your workspace and permissions to your reports and dashboards so users can view and interact through any device. We will walk through many of these steps of a typical data analyst to tell their organization's compelling data story in our upcoming sessions. Now I'll demo some of the components that we just talked about. Welcome to Develop Dynamic Reports with Microsoft Power BI. I want to share a number of resources that I talked about in this last section, one of which is our courseware. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it and get the URL right there at the top. This is given on a slide, a little bit of a truncated version of it. But this is our courseware, Develop Dynamic Reports in Microsoft Power BI. And as I scroll through, you can see a bunch of topics that we'll be discussing in our video content today. So a lot of areas that I'll be focusing on, as you can see. So you might want to follow along with us as we go through our upcoming sessions. I also want to highlight that you can do labs and you have access to them. If you want to use them, they're available in GitHub. Let me zoom in to our address so you can see that. I did have another one on the slide, but this one gives you the specific address that you need. And what you'll also note is that there's a section in here that will help you with setting up your environment up at the top there, set up your own environment. It also has lab files that you can download. And you're going to see that there's a lot more labs here in this list because these are all labs and demos that we offer for Power BI. So there's just a few that we use with this, 605, but there's a lot more that you can practice with. I also highlighted just a moment ago how to get started, as you can see, and you can get a free Power BI account that's inside of Microsoft Fabric, and simply you can do this by clicking on this little button right here to try free. I think I gave away in the search to see this on the slide. This address might be a little bit too long to type, so view it from the slide. But you can get Power BI, an account for free in Microsoft Fabric. Definitely want to test that out. I also want to highlight that we have a certification associated with DP-605, and you can see that is it right here. Let me zoom in to the web address right here, and the certification is PL 300 is what it is related to. And you can also see from this certification that is the Power BI Data Analyst Associate, and you can find out a little bit more about it, how to prepare for the exam, how to practice for the exam, how to take the exam, how to renew your certification, which is done on an annual basis. And then there's some additional resources, as you can see here. And if you scroll down, it tells you a little bit about the exam, the topics that will be covered, and a lot of which we're going to cover today in our video. I also want you to note that you can prepare for the exam, and it gives you the courseware right here, which is which is the same as what we're going to be talking about today. So you can work through that here or off in the courseware tab that we talked about a little bit earlier. So as long as you look through this, we also have some practice test questions for you. There's about 50 in there, and if you've never taken an exam before, you can launch the sandbox and see what a real exam would feel like, and typical types of questions you might get. There's a video that can help you prepare for this exam also. And the exam runs for about 100 minutes. You can schedule it from right here. And then there's some additional resources, one of which I think is worthy of mentioning our study guide. So this gives you a little overview of some of the resources that I mentioned in our first section there. I also want to highlight Fabric. I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth with this, but I'll give you the URL. It's a little earlier that I talked about it, but it's right here, app.fabric.microsoft.com. So that's a good place to start. And you'll come to something like this. Remember that you need an account, and that there's a link we talked about earlier that showed you how to get that account. So that was the link to use right here to get the free trial. And then you'll need to log in to app.fabric.microsoft.com. And what you'll note in the lower left-hand corner is we have an option to move here from Fabric into Power BI. And this is the Power BI service. We access it usually through a workspace. So I have a number of workspaces here. One I've set up exclusively for Power BI. And you can see that I already have a number of objects stored here. I have a dashboard that I created for my report. I also have a semantic model, and then there's another dashboard that I created. We'll look at this a bit later when we move a little further into our content. What I want to highlight now is that if you want to highlight Power BI Desktop, I have it at the right here. I downloaded the Power BI Desktop a while ago from the Microsoft website. Then what I did is I opened it up and got into our lab files for this course. And this one is the sales analysis file. And as you can see, I'm currently looking at a report. I'm here on the report view. And as you look at this report, you can see that there are multiple pages, and you can go from page to page at the bottom. One of them looks hidden. The product details has a little toggle where it's hidden, and you can just toggle it to unhide it and go forward there. And what we'll also see is I can also do some filtering. There's visualizations also here. You can add part of your building blocks here, about 30 built-in visualizations, building blocks here of Power BI. You can also see that some of the tables that are available here in this PBIX file, and we'll take a closer look at those as we go through. But right now, I'm going to go on to the report view, and I'm going to roll this up a moment here. And I want you to note when I'm on the report, you can take a look at some of the menu options that I have at the top. Here is my ribbon. So I have a bunch of buttons that we have available here, but I can also go into a table view. So the table view is going to let me see the table by table. And the fields and values that are inside. So this is a very nice view. I'm also going to switch out to the model view, and you can adjust the properties and work with different tables if you'd like, again, and in models. And I'm going to close properties, and in this little space right here, now you can see all the tables and their relationships with one another. And I'm going to fit this into the page so that we can see it a little bit easier here and not have to scroll so much. But these are the tables that were uploaded. I'll talk about how to upload upcoming in our next section. And now you can see our model from here. The model is very important because it will determine what relationships we have between the tables, which will then, of course, allow us to query between the tables to our visualizations and to get results. So I'm going to come back and talk about modeling in a bit. And then there's this DAX query view that you may see here in our desktop from Power BI. And here you'll notice I can use Copilot. And here you can see I can use Copilot. And as long as it's enabled, and it has to be enabled by the tenant tier to be able to work with it, and I can use it here and explain different things, and you're going to see Copilot really everywhere. I noticed too that the menu changes based on the view that you're currently on. With the menu, the ribbon options, whatever tab you're in, the menu changes. So one of the hardest things about Power BI is to figure out where you are. I need to be able to see a certain button, a certain menu, and everything is contextual. It's based on where you click. So I'm going to go back to the DAX tab here, but this view we'll come back to in a bit and we'll play around with DAX. And I'm going to go back to the report view right now. And one of the options that I can select is off the transform data section here to transform data. And I'm going to choose it. And what we're going to do, it's going to take a moment, and it will bring up Power Query Editor. And it's here that we're going to talk about some of the transformations. So in the Power BI desktop, we see in just a bit how to get data. So the extraction, but for Power Query Editor, this is where our transformations happen, and then the loading with the calculations, and then modeling you saw was back in Power BI desktop. So this may take a little bit, and I'm going to look for the data source, and I'm going to see if it's missing. But we can see this would be the spot that we'd like to come for transformations that are completed. And there's about 300 plus transformations available here in the Power Query Editor. And we have an online version of this too in our Data Flow Gen 2. And we'll come back here in a bit to take a closer look. So you can see that some of the tables that we're working with here, that we're able to find the resources that have a path, and that the transformation that you do will be recorded. And we can see to that we have our steps, and the way we undo it, if we need to, is by hitting the X next to the step in the applied steps. So we'll come back here and we'll visit it in a bit. So we're going to spend the bulk of our time here in Power BI Desktop. This is the main spot where you'll be working through a lot of stuff as we go forward. We'll be right here. So thank you so much. Stay tuned. Much more to come and a lot of time in our Power BI Desktop. Now it's time to check our knowledge. Question 1. What is the common flow of activity in Power BI? Answer. Load data and create a report in Power BI Desktop, publish it to the Power BI service to view, and then distribute via an app. Question 2. Which of the following are building blocks of Power BI? Answer. Visualizations, semantic models, reports, dashboards, and tiles. Question 3. What is a collection of reports and dashboards called in Power BI? Answer. App. We'll be doing all this and more as we move forward. To recap, the Power BI environment is a collection of software, services, apps, and connectors. It includes the Power BI Desktop, the Power BI Service, which is inside of Microsoft Fabric, and also the Power BI mobile device. The Power BI workflow is first to identify and connect to the data source and import it into the Power BI Desktop's PBIX file. Next, clean it, transform it, model it, add calculations to it, and use it to make our reports. Next, publish that report to a workspace in the Power BI service in Fabric, and use that report to make dashboards if you'd like, and then share it out, bundling the report and the dashboard together into an app. Your users can then get access to it through any device as long as they can authenticate to it and get authorized. Thank you for your time. Hope to see you in the next section.